Hello everyone, this is the first of a series of videos in which I will be going through all the calculator settings that I learned from my May 2021 IB Math Analysis and Approaches Higher Level exam. So when I was studying for my Paper 2 exam, I spent a lot of time sort of figuring out exactly what things I needed to know how to do on my calculator and looking around for tutorials on YouTube on how to do them. So I thought a video like this might save a lot of you current IB students some time. So there are 5 overarching topics in IB Math High Level, and that is numbers and algebra, functions, geometry and trigonometry, statistics and probability, and calculus. So I will be making separate videos on all the calculator settings you need to know for each of these topics, and I will be starting with the topic of functions in this video. I would also like to say that it's entirely possible that I am forgetting some calculator settings. These are just the ones that I personally learned for my exam. So if you watch this and realize that I'm missing anything, feel free to leave a comment below about the calculator function that I might be missing. And if you want to be extra helpful, leave a link to a tutorial so that when others see your comment, they can easily click the link and learn that calculator function as well. So let's get started on today's video, which is again calculator skills for the topic of functions. And I will be leaving timestamps in the description for each of the functions that I will be explaining, or each of the, calculator settings, in case you already know some of them and just want to skip straight to the parts you don't know. But for now, I will assume that you just got your calculator and have very little knowledge on how to use it. So we're going to start by making the graph of a function, and to do that we go to Menu and Add Graphs. But before we actually start, I want to give a quick overview of the types of functions you can input. So for example, you can input trigonometric functions by clicking the trig button. And here you have both trigonometric and inverse trigonometric functions. You can also input logarithmic functions like this, doing Control log, and you can change the base to whatever you want it to be. Or you can also do natural log functions, which is right next to the log functions. You can also input exponential functions. You have an e to the power of whatever you want it to be on the bottom here. And if you want to change the base of the exponential function to, for example, x, you can just put x and use this sign over here to put whatever exponent you want, for example 3. You can also input piecewise functions, which might be useful for graphing probability density functions, with this bottom over here. And here you just put your function and here your boundary conditions. For example, oh, and if you want to access the less than or equal to signs, you can do Control and then the equal button, and here you have all the options you need. There you go, that'd be a piecewise function graphed. So now let's just graph a simple polynomial so we can explore some of the features of the function and sort of what the calculator can do and explore. So first of all, let's just explore how you can zoom in and out of the graph. This is really basic, but obviously it's really important if you want to see all of the maxima and minima and the features you need to analyze of the graph. So to do this, you go to Menu, Window Zoom, and in this case, let's zoom out because we're missing that maxima on the top there. And that should be good enough. And for another feature that might be useful is how to adjust the axis endpoints. So here we see that we have a very narrow view of this graph. So it might be better to adjust the x-axis endpoints. So for example, let's put 20. Oh, no. Minus 20. There we go. So let's start analyzing this graph by looking for the x-axis intercept, and to do this you go to Menu, Analyze Graph, and 0, and then you have to select the region of the graph that intersects the x-axis. So let's just select this 0 for now. And we can also find the y-axis intercept by using the trace function here, graph trace, which automatically sets or finds the value for the function at x equals 0. So we can also use this trace setting to find values of our function at certain values of x we can choose. So you just have to write down the value of x you want. For example, let's say 6, and then you press enter, and here we have the point of the function at x equals 6. So let's zoom back out quickly. So next, let's analyze the maxima and minima of the graph. And to do this, we go to Menu, again, Analyze Graph. This is pretty self-explanatory. Just select minimum, and then select the area of the graph in which there is a minimum, which is here. And here it coincides with the 0, so it's the same point. And to find the maxima, it's pretty similar. It's the setting right after minimum. And again, you select the area of the graph where there is a maximum. Let's graph another function now, and we're going to see how we can find the intersection between two functions. So I'm just going to delete some points here so that we have a more clear view of what's going on. And you just do this, you have to select them and just press delete. And I'm going to zoom in a bit. And to find the intersection between these two graphs, you just go to Menu, Analyze Graph, and number 4, Intersection, and select the area where you can visibly see that there's an intersection. If you have more than two functions graphed, for example, let's say y equals x, and you try to find the intersection, you'll probably have to select which graphs you want to analyze. So let's just see this one and this one, and then it's pretty much the same. There are a couple more graphical features you can use here, but these are more to do with the topic of calculus, so I will explain them in another video. And now let's step out of sort of the graphical environment and let's go to the calculator setting. And there are a couple of useful features here too that you can use. For example, if we go to Menu and Algebra and Polynomial Tools, you have all of these settings to find the roots of a polynomial, so the real roots and the complex roots. You just have to input the degree of the polynomial, let's say 3, and let's find the real roots. I don't know, I'm going to make this up, 2, 4, 6, and -4. Then you just press enter and it gives you the root of the polynomial. There's also another useful function you can use to solve equations. Here in algebra, numerical solve, you just input your equation, and then you have to put a comma and the variable that the equation is in terms of, and then press enter, and the calculator solves the equation for you. So these are all the calculator settings that I know for the topic of functions. Maybe later, if I realize that I've forgotten some settings that don't really go under a specific topic, like functions or trigonometry, I might make a separate video on sort of miscellaneous calculator settings that might be useful for you. And yeah, that concludes this video. I hope it was helpful. And again, leave a comment if you think I've forgotten to include any calculator settings in this video. Bye!